What's going on, Daytona Beach? Welcome back to another episode of DB Unscripted. I'm your host, Justin Valleyjoe, the Communications and Marketing Assistant with the City of Daytona Beach. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to follow us on our Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and the city's website at daytonabeach.gov/DB Unscripted. That way you can stay up to date with all of our episodes. You can listen to all the episodes as well. YouTube has the video feed, so you can watch the episode on YouTube. So if you haven't done so already, just please be sure to follow us on all those different channels so that you can stay up to date with all of our episodes. So for today's episode, we have a new guest, and he's relatively new to the City of Daytona Beach. He is the new city auditor. His name is Abinit Belichu, and we have him as our guest today. So thanks for joining the show today.
Thank you, Justin.
So, let's kind of start things off by just giving a quick introduction about yourself and how did you find yourself into this new role, and maybe you could talk about some of your previous roles as an auditor too.
Excellent. Since I graduated school, I decided to work in public sector, particularly in financial management and auditing. I have served the state government, local government, and federal government. In my last position, I was the director of finance for USAID, which is a federal agency. And as you probably know, with the current administration, USAID is shut down. And I was thinking, what will be my skill will be used, and someone brought to my attention the City of Daytona Beach, and I have a daughter live in Florida, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's why I end up in Daytona Beach.
Awesome. So outside of your regular work day, what are some of the hobbies that you have? What do you like to do? Especially with you being kind of new to Florida, have you explored around the area? What are some things that you like to do outside?
Yes, I think Florida is a bit different from Northern Virginia.
Right.
Yeah, in many aspects, but I think me and my wife is exploring Daytona Beach. I think it's very interesting place, very good place. I think people are very welcoming. We are just looking around. I think Daytona Beach, as you know, is very popular for car and stuff like that. So basically, I think we are learning the community and understanding how Daytona Beach is.
Yeah, you might have to check out maybe the Daytona 500 one year. Just it's I'm not the biggest race fan, but I do try to go to that every year when it comes into town, because there's just so much that happens outside of the racing that it is involved with NASCAR, and it's a pretty cool experience. So that might be something too that you can maybe check out. There's so much, because you mentioned about the racing, there's so much to do in Daytona Beach. So from the beaches to shopping, retail, to the history in Daytona Beach and Florida. There's so much history, not just in Daytona, but in Florida as well. So I'm sure you're going to find plenty of stuff to do here.
Exactly. It's a really beautiful place. I think someone took me to the bike thing.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
By Oktoberfest.
It was very, very interesting.
Yeah. It's a little different crowd down there too. Yeah, definitely. So going back to becoming the city auditor, what are, since this is a new position that a lot of residents might not be familiar with, this is something that Daytona Beach hasn't had before. What are some of the roles and responsibilities that you and your office have with the City of Daytona Beach?
Thank you, Justin. This is really very good question. Most of the time when people think of auditing, I think of sort of I got you. Auditor come, to find things and things of that nature.
Yeah.
I think in my approach for auditing is more improving efficiency and effectiveness. I told this for the commissioner during an interview. Clearly, if there is doing something wrong, it will be I got you. But the majority of the time, how can we improve process? How can we make sure the taxpayer fund used in the most efficient and effective manner? So working collaboratively with the citizen, with the city manager, with the city staff, and clearly with the commissioner to do things cheaper, better, and faster. I think that's basically the role of the internal auditor. We will perform a variety of auditing. For example, we conduct performance auditing, basically to ensure, like I said, efficiency and effectiveness, and we conducted financial auditing to make sure the taxpayer fund used properly. We'll use compliance auditing to make sure all of the rules and the regulation is followed. In some cases, we do what we call fraud investigation. So to help my work, I establish a hotline. Any citizen of Daytona Beach can contact that hotline.
I was going to ask you about that later down in the interview, but it's fine. We can talk about it now.
Yeah, through email, through direct putting online, or by calling me directly. And we don't require contact information if you decide not
it's
to
anonymous,
give it to us.
right?
Exactly.
It can be anonymous.
Exactly.
Yeah. I get that, to protect the the privacy of people.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so you talked a little bit about the roles and responsibilities. Now, and by the way, when it comes to auditing, on a smaller scale, I audit my wife and I all the time. I always say, okay, how can we make our spending more efficient? What can we cut back on? What are our necessities and the needs and the wants? And I have my Excel spreadsheet with pretty much all of our finances on there, and I look at it on a monthly basis to see what can we do, because I just think in general you should always try to figure out, okay, is there ways that we can do things more efficient or better? And so I know that's a huge responsibility now for you, since this is a new job or new position for the whole city. I'm sure there's a lot of things that you're doing right now to kind of get that process going. So I completely understand that. So to piggyback off of some of that, what is the main difference between a city auditor and something like what DOJ is at the federal level? Because DOJ has become something that it's the media has grabbed hold of. The whole country, it's a household topic now that people talk about. What are the main differences between like DOJ compared to what a city auditor is?
Thank you. I think before I answer this question, I will say I think you are doing the right thing in your household. Auditing is just basically common sense, like
right.
You and your family are doing. But to go back to the DOJ question, we are a professional audit organization. We went through school. We have many training, and we would like to make our audit based on evidence. I think some of the DOJ audit is more of a policy difference conversation. For example, I think to go back to USAID was funding a variety of things because the previous administration decided to do it, and I think DOJ will involve in that kind of policy decision making probably. But our audit is objective. We have to have evidence. We need to follow standards. For example, for DOJ, in my understanding, there is no requirement to follow generally accepted government auditing standard.
Gotcha.
For us, we have to follow. As a CPA, if I say I conducted the audit in according to the standard, I will be held accountable to it. So I think there is a huge difference between what.
So there's like safeguard rails. If this is how you follow it, there's a standard. Like you said, practices for it.
It's more of one is more political than the other, in my perspective.
Okay, I completely get that. So what are some? We talked about roles and responsibilities and some differences between the federal level with DOJ and what we have here at the local level. But what are some of the benefits that residents would be able to see of having a city auditor? Sometimes people look at that as, it's maybe like a rain cloud over the city. But what are those benefits that we'll have, from residents and from staff members?
It's a tremendous benefit. I think given you have a qualified audit unit and audit staff, and it is done properly, it will benefit tremendously the citizen. I will start from the citizen. The citizen contribute and fund the city government through taxation and many other forms. They don't have no way of knowing what the fund is used by the city. So the audit will bridge that gap. The auditor will provide information through audit report to the citizen, what's going on through the city. So it is a tremendous benefit. In addition to that, like I said earlier, they have a direct contact to call the audit office and to say, I want you to look the following things for the following reason. Okay. For example, if they notice somebody is abusing city vehicle, city property, city funding, they will have a mechanism to contact and report. That's a huge benefit. For the city employee also, it's a huge benefit, because sometimes it's very difficult to see your own undoing. So there is sort of a third eye to provide you a free consultation service. I think if you do it this way, it will be better, sort of thing. For the city commissioner, it's a tremendous benefit.
Right, yeah.
Because as you know, most elected officials are not a trained accountant or auditor or financial management people. Because of that, this is a tool they can use effectively to know what's going on the city they are elected to lead.
And I know for your position specifically, it's a unique position because you don't report to the city manager. You directly report to the city commission as well. So I'm sure they're going to rely on you a lot for that information. Like you said, they're not trained CPAs, or so with being able to use you as a tool, I'm sure they're going to rely a lot on your knowledge to be able to provide them with the information that they need, right?
Yeah, Justin, I think you mentioned again another very important thing. Because I report to the city commission rather than the city manager, I have full independence. If you think of it, for example, if the audit unit report to the city manager, there is a potential, at least a perception of lack of independence.
From the outside looking in, it can look like it's a clean slate when it's when you report directly to the city commission. I completely get that. So I looked on the website, and I know a lot with being a city auditor is waste, fraud, and abuse, right? That's what we look at with the audits. Can you explain the differences between those three words?
Exactly. Again, this is very, very important because people have a mixed understanding of these things. Fraud is basically somebody intentionally doing something wrong to get some benefit,
right,
and to hurt some other person. For example, somebody is stealing money, somebody taking property, and so forth is fraud. It's very clear. I think most people fully aware of it. What abuse is, if you are in a position of power, using your position, you are doing something wrong, but not necessarily criminal. Say, for instance, if you hire your friend, that doesn't mean necessarily it's a criminal act, but you are abusing your power.
Right.
For example, if you are in a position and using your position, if you use city money to purchase something, even for the benefit of the city, but with excessive cost to help other people, it's an abuse.
Yeah.
Waste is basically you are wasting the taxpayer fund unnecessarily. For example, instead of using a paper efficiently and effectively for your own good things, you will print more things, for example. It's wasteful thing. So the three are distinctly different. I intended to focus actually the waste and the abuse thing, because I think because we have limited amount of money to manage through the city. The more we prevented wasteful spending, the better we'll use the money for infrastructure and other needs throughout the city. So this is very, very important item.
Yeah, definitely. And when you mention about reporting to the city commission, so when you conduct these audits, because this is all new to all of us, how do you report to the city commission? Do you have to report to them with your findings during a city commission meeting, or do you meet with them one-on-one? How do you go about that with being able to report, whatever you find when you conduct these audits?
Like you said rightfully, because this is a new office, it was a whole lot of work for me.
Right,
so I think one of the things I secured with the commissioner so far, for example, I cannot chase each commissioner request audit. I think for me to conduct an audit, there is two ways. One is I prepare through risk analysis an audit plan, and that will be approved by the city commissioners, like it's approved in the past meeting. Another one is the commissioners, by the majority vote, will ask me to conduct an audit.
Okay.
Exactly. When I finish my audit report, we will prepare what we consider audit workshop. So that audit workshop is open for citizens, for press, and for commissioner, for city staff. I will bring a written audit report. In addition to that, I will explain the finding one by one and the supporting document of my finding on that workshop.
And so that would be separate than a city commission meeting, right? That would be a different public meeting.
Because we want to get, I think, sufficient time. We want to allow the commissioner, citizens, city staff to ask questions. I think the idea is not like I said earlier, I got you. The idea is to be constructive.
Right.
Because of that, I think I have a responsibility to explain my finding and recommendation with sufficient evidence. This is why I recommend this way. This is the reason. This is the finding, and so forth. I think when you see some audit report, unfortunately, you see a he said, she said audit report, and I'm not interested to do that.
Yeah, I completely understand. So when you conduct these reports, they're addressed and they're presented at this audit workshop that you mentioned. For the residents who don't go to the workshops, for the residents who might not be as involved in the public meetings, how would they be able to find these reports? Is this something that's going to be publicized on the city's website under your city auditor page, or how would that work?
Yes, again, good question. We are also planning to put all audit reports in our website. So any citizen at any time will go review the audit report, ask question anytime they want to, and so forth. Remember, all of us, Justin, including yourself, we work for the city of Daytona Beach because we have responsibility to show transparency and accountability for the citizen. Because of that reason, it is my intention, in addition to the workshop, to put all audit reports on our website.
Okay, yeah, that's great, because I'm sure there's going to be, we get public engagement during our public meetings, but I just always feel like it's very important that this stuff gets, especially working in the communications office, we always try to hit as many channels as possible, not just social media, but on the website, newsletters, things like that. So I feel like it is a great benefit to have that, published on the website too. So that's great to hear.
Thank you.
So what are some of your, you've been here for under a year now. What are some of your top priorities in your first year as being the new city auditor?
The key priority is, I think, to provide awareness for the citizen of Daytona Beach. We have the city audit office, and you have a mechanism to report any potential fraud, waste, and abuse. It's also some sort of orientation for the city staff. Audit is not something to be afraid of. Audit is a good thing. I think it will improve efficiency and effectiveness. Let's work collaboratively. I think sometimes unnecessarily people have a defensive posture because of, I think, what audit perceived to be.
The perception of
it.
The stereotype.
Of it. Exactly. Yeah. So I think to do that, in addition to that, I think to restructure the office, I have a full year audit plan approved by the City Commission. I think to conduct those audits and to discuss those audits with the City Commissioner and with the citizen. That is the most priority during my first
year. Like I said, sometimes I'm portrayed as the bad guy when I audit my wife's bank account, so I can't imagine what it's like when you're the city auditor for over 1,000 employees. So, I'm not trying to throw my wife under the bus, but sometimes I'm like, wait, we spent at Target compared to Walmart. That's a whole different conversation.
No, but that's the good way of it. That's exactly auditing is. It's a common sense thing. Exactly.
How can we make things more efficient?
I think you said it right. If you buy Target, it will be cheaper. Why we are going to different store kinds of thing? I think the same question I will probably ask you.
So, with your department, I'm sure there's some challenges that you're going to be facing. So what are some of the challenges that maybe you've already experienced or that you're maybe anticipating to experience with being the new city auditor?
The main challenge is, again, educating, I think, everybody what my role will be. Because understandably, I think first when I start working here, I think some people have a very defensive posture. And I want to take this opportunity and thank Mr. Fiecher. I think he arranged a meeting with all of the leadership, and I get a chance to explain for them and allow them to ask questions. So that's a huge challenge. It's also true, I think the commissioner are not, all of the commissioner are elected officials, not necessarily fully knowledgeable about some of the audit things. So I think there is that part of it.
So the education
exactly, education, and just make sure, everybody has here the same goal. The elected official have a responsibility, I think, to ensure the taxpayer fund are used effectively and efficiently for the good use of Daytona Beach. The city staff, the majority come in here to do the same thing. My role is the same thing. So to provide that kind of awareness, and everybody will be open, everybody will be collaborative, everybody will be working together. Another challenge, as you know, I think the staffing issue. the work in Daytona Beach. I think I did not know how vast the city of Daytona Beach government is. And that requires it's a whole lot of work, and as you know, I think we have very limited staff, that kind of thing.
So what are some of, since you've been here for a little bit now and you've talked about your parties, what are some of the main opportunities, or what's the biggest opportunity for the city of Daytona Beach to improve and become more efficient with taxpayer funds?
There is a tremendous opportunity to improve process. I think when we talk about process, most people think process is sort of a bureaucratic tool. But that's not the case. Because when you manage taxpayer fund, you need to have standard written procedure. You need to have proper documentation. Because when you manage your money, like you said, even you and your wife have some sort of a spreadsheet, I think, to document things. So documentation is very important. And also thinking out of the bracket, what can we do to do the same thing but with less cost? I think sometimes communication is very important. I think building a trusting relationship with the citizen is very, very important. I think for that is communication is key, like your office just because it's very important, not only me, all of us in the city of Daytona Beach government, to communicate what we are doing with the money we collected from the citizen clearly and in a plain language. I think sometimes accountant and auditor mistakenly use technical jargon language that will be impeding for the people to understand those kinds of things. So I think there is a tremendous opportunity here in my view, and I think after a while, I think the citizen and the city manager and the commissioner will see the fruit of this audit.
And I think, like you said, with the communication with the residents, it's really important that they understand that now that there is a city auditor here, it's not just, and I'm not saying this was happening before, but it can maybe be an extra reassurance for the residents to know that tax-paying dollars are being spent in an efficient way, and that's not just being thrown around. And so I think the education side of informing the public that we do have a city auditor that is overseeing the tax-paying dollars and make sure that it is being spent in the most efficient possible way for the residents is key.
I think very, very key,
especially for bridging that the relationship between the residents and the city, because just looking at from the political side, that it has become a very hot topic about people want to know where their tax dollars are being spent now.
Exactly.
And so being able to show that they are being spent in an efficient way, and that we have someone who's creating these guardrails for the city staff to make sure it's being spent in the most efficient way is key for the residents too. So it's a huge role, I think, that that you're going to be playing for the city of Daytona Beach.
I am sure, Justin, I think like you are doing here, and you will also help me, I think, by communicating all of the things we are doing. I don't know how many of the citizens know, for example, we have a hotline, and I'm working with your office to communicate that with the people.
That Susan's really working on with Hassam to be able to
exactly
for your office.
Exactly.
So we talked about audits, and sometimes that can be an umbrella term. What are some of the audits that you conduct or have conducted or will look to possibly be able to conduct for Daytona Beach? Is there a certain type of audits that you conduct?
Exactly. I think we are planning to do a variety of auditing. One of the first audit we are currently conducting is how the city use travel. Travel exactly. How the travel is approved, what kinds of travel policy we have, and what is the city mechanism to pay per diem, and many other things. I think the reason behind it is we want to make sure all travel using the City of Daytona Beach tax fund is done properly for a good reason of the city, and there is no any potential fraud, waste, and abuse in it. So I think that's that we are planning to do at some point in time, over time audit. We have a plan to do contract audit, how the city, contracting, because this is very important. I think when you give a contract, you need to make sure you have competitive bidding. The people who is receiving the contract doesn't have no conflict of interest with the citizen, and many other things. And also we are planning to do performance auditing, how the city is performing compared to other similar locality. There is, I think, funding from federal and state government. We want to look at it, just make sure there is compliance. We have about 8 or 7 audits planned currently.
Wow.
Exactly. 2 is currently undergoing. It is my intention, I think, before the end of November, one of the audits will be completed and the report will be issued.
Okay. Now, for your department, are you by yourself, or do you have anybody else that's with you? Because that's just like you mentioned, you have what you said, 6, 7 different audits that you're going to be planning.
Yeah.
That's a lot. So I'm curious. Are you by yourself working on all those
Currently,
audits?
yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Exactly. It's a whole lot. I think this is one of the challenge earlier you are asking, and hopefully seeing and understanding the value of the audit unit, I think the commissioner probably will consider this is a good place to spend money.
So what, you've been here for a little bit now, what excites you about working for the City of Daytona Beach?
I'll start from first what excites me generally to be an auditor. Most people, again, like we are discussing, think auditing is just pushing paper thing. I think for me it's very, very important because you use audit tool and technique to ensure public resources are used efficiently and effectively. When I came to Daytona Beach, I think Daytona Beach is a very beautiful place. Like I said earlier, it's a vast government, even if it's a small city. And this is a new position, so it is a very good opportunity, I think, to participate and contribute and make sure the resources are used efficiently and effectively. I think working collaboratively with the citizen, with the staff, and with the commissioner is a very exciting thing for me. Even though there is a huge challenge, like you said, because of many other things we are discussing, but it's also an opportunity, I think, to create an environment. The most important thing, I think, to create a culture of transparency and accountability together with the city manager and the city commissioner and with the citizen. We want the citizen to understand, to have a comfort level how the resource, the money is used. That will not happen by itself. I think that will come with hard work of auditing, communication, and many other things. I think that's a very, very exciting thing for me.
Now, just to wind down our show today, what are some things that are coming in maybe the near future for your department? Is there anything that you're looking forward to with your department growing at all, or what things are coming down the line, you think, for the auditing department?
So I think this is the first audit will be issued soon. I think that is also exciting for me because this is the first time I will be able to present the audit report, and I will see the reaction of the citizen, the commissioner, and also the city manager. I already briefed the city manager, so some of the finding, and I think he is working to provide a management response. Like I said, up to this point, very cooperative environment, and I'm very appreciative of it. So I think, look, audit is audit. I think sometimes it will get difficult. While I don't think and I don't believe that will happen here, but in some of my past experience, I think we identify people stealing money, and we don't have no other way of preventing those people from paying the consequence of their crime. Exactly. I am not in a view, that will happen in here, but I think, I want to be open and as clear as I get. Our work, including also looking people who's doing bad things, I think, to pay the price for it.
Now, is there anything else you would want to add to the show before we wrap it up?
No, first, I'm very thankful for you, I think, to create this opportunity, because this is the way I think the citizen probably will be aware some of the things we are doing. I encourage all citizens of Daytona Beach. If you see something, say something. Like the Department of Homeland Security. We will not fault you if you report something if it did not materialize anything. We want to hear it. We want to look at it.
Just investigate it.
Exactly. Sure. I think we are open here. and just let's work together to make a better city, efficient and accountable city for all of us.
And with our podcast, we started this podcast because we want to be able to reach a new audience. Typically, our younger demographic listens to the podcast, so we want to get our younger demographic more involved with city government. When I was, I'm under 30 years old, but when I was even younger, I didn't know much about city government. I knew that we had the mayor, I knew we had city commission, city manager, but I didn't know everything that goes into how the city operates. So we're, with this podcast, we're trying to reach that younger demographic to, educate them on all the different things that Daytona Beach offers, and how we provide our services to the residents. So, and one of that is, with this new office that we have with our, with you as a city auditor. So we want to be able to inform the public on, this new position and what everything that you provide, for our residents too. So.
Exactly. I think you mentioned young generation, and also it's very important young generation to be aware of what auditing is and to join the profession in the college in the school, because it's very, very worthy, I think, profession, because I think using an audit and financial management people, that's the accountability will come. When I was in USAID, I go to different country and I told to these people, it doesn't matter how much money you are receiving from the United States, your country will not change until your finances is in order. Whether you are managing your household, a country or an organization or a city government, success is impossible unless and otherwise a good financial management practice in place, like you and your wife are doing.
You hit it right on the head, because my dad always taught me from a very, very young age, and he was very persistent about letting me know, and he wanted me to understand that it's not about how much money you make, it's about what you do with that money.
Exactly.
You see people who make lots and lots and lots of money, and sometimes it's our professional athletes,
Exactly.
and they go broke very quick, and then you have people who they don't bring in as much money, but they're very, very efficient with what they do with the money that they have, and they have a thriving life, thriving marriage, and so and that's something my wife and I we take very seriously. It's not about how much money we make, it's about what are we doing with that money to be as efficient as possible. So you definitely hit it on the head when you talked about when you talk with other countries. It's not about what you're doing with it, but it's not about what you're getting from maybe the United States. Yeah. It's about what are you doing with that money. Exactly. What's the process that you have in place. So yeah, I definitely I agree with that.
Thank you, Justin.
So I appreciate you coming on the show today.
Thanks so much.
If you need anything else, please I would be more than happy to have you back on the show if there's anything else you'd like to talk about in the future. So.
Thank you, Justin. Yes, thank you. Have a good day.
So that's all we have today, folks. Thank you for listening to this episode. Please be sure again to follow us on our different platforms. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and those cities' website at daytonabeach.gov/DB Unscripted. You can stay up to date with all of our episodes. This episode is going to be there be on the website as well. Also, if you want to watch this episode, you can watch it on YouTube. That's where we have our video for the episode. And also, please be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, X, Nextdoor, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Neighbors as well. So please be sure to follow us so that you can stay up to date with everything happening in the city of Daytona Beach. So thanks again for listening, and we'll see you for the next episode.